Oh, well, hello. Okay, I think I'm live. Um, and if you are watching, please leave a comment. Would love to please say hello. Let me know if the audio is working. I was just doing a live and the audio on that one did not work. So I took some time. I troubleshooted, troubleshot. What is the past tense of troubleshoot? And here we are. Hopefully you can hear my audio. Hopefully things are going well. In the last one, I tried to answer a question about from a caller. That one got a little complicated. We'll do that one live later. But in this one, title of this live is the real estate market in 2023. So let's talk about what's going on in the world of real estate. Now, first of all, as we know, mortgage rates have more than doubled. The As of September 1st, the national average for a 30-year mortgage for people with a FICO score of 800 or higher, which is the top classification of score that you can get, the national average was 7.3%. Um, for people with a score one notch below that, a score in the high 700s, it was pretty close to 8%. Um, so mortgage interest rates. Hey, okay, and you can hear me. Fantastic. Houday Nation. Um, so mortgage interest rates have doubled. And they are currently at the highest point that they've been at since the year 2020. Meanwhile, home buying activity is at the lowest point that it's been at since 1995. And home buying activity is measured by a particular metric called days on market. Now, days on market, can I, yeah, oh, look at that. Hey, look at that. So days on market is this metric that signifies exactly what it sounds like. How many days does a particular home stay on the market from the time it's listed until the time it closes? And there are national stats, and of course, every city has its own like local stats. In 2021, Boise, Idaho, had average days on market of 8, 8 days, 8, right? Whereas typically, I mean, around 245 days ish nationally is fairly common. So the market got really very, very hot in 2020 and 2021. And the way that that was expressed, and you would hear a lot of people talk about this at the time, they were like, everything goes the minute it's listed. Everything's going above asking price on the day that it's listed. The listing comes out, and within an hour, boom, they've got 6 offers all above asking price, with contingencies waived, right? No inspection contingency. I never recommend that, but some people have done that. No inspection contingency, no financing contingency, cash, right? So people in 2020 and 2021 who were trying to buy homes were really frustrated by the fact that it was so challenging. There were so many other buyers who were in the market at the time. Now, what's interesting is despite the fact that mortgage interest rates have doubled, and despite the fact that home buying is at its lowest point since 95, in spite of all of that, home prices continue rising. So the obvious question is, why is that? Why is there so much resilience in the home buying market? And the short answer is supply and demand. But let's kind of unpack that to get a larger answer. In terms of supply, it's well known that the constrictions range from its materials, its labor, and its permitting, right? It's all three of those genres. In terms of materials, the price of everything from copper to lumber and the availability, the upstream supply chain issues have been a limiting factor. In terms of labor, of course, there's a labor shortage, particularly construction, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all of the trades associated with home building tend to have a labor shortage. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a job and you want some kind of high paying work that does not require a college degree, um, the, p- uh, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, particularly you do that job for a few years and then start your own company. That is a fantastic career path that anyone who has the interest in it, I would absolutely encourage you to pursue that interest if that is your calling. Um, So, labor shortage, material shortage, labor shortage, permitting is the other major issue. And the problems with permitting are sort of twofold. One is density. So many municipalities limit the number of multifamily homes that can be built there. They want only single family homes. The argument is that if by having single family homes, it preserves property values, which is, I mean, okay, I'll just come around. I think that's a completely stupid argument that does not understand how property values work. Um, and I think it is actually just a polite way of saying we're afraid that poor people are going to move in if we have multifamily unit housing. Um, I think it's absolutely bananas that there are places that only allow single family homes. But um, the fact remains there are places that only allow single family homes, and because of that, we don't have the zoning for higher density builds, which means that we have more urban sprawl, and it means we have more car dependent cities. It also means that we have a significant housing supply shortage because with multifamily housing, you can take the same underlying plot of land and you can put a duplex, you can put a fiveplex, you can put an 8-unit building, like, you can take that same underlying plot of land and put multiple units on it, and that improves housing supply. Um, but, I'm getting a comment. What was that job again? HVAC, electrical, plumbing, anything, related to home construction, electrical particularly, HVAC or electrical, either of those. Um, but any of the trades that are related to home construction. So, labor shortage, material shortage, and zoning restrictions that often have prohibitions against multifamily construction. Those are three factors that in tandem limit supply. And then in the year 2023 specifically, there's an additional factor, and that is the fact that interest rates are higher. That doesn't just affect home buyers, it also affects home builders. Because if you're building a home, you now need to borrow money at a significantly higher interest rate in order to build that home. And because of that, the margins on building a home get tighter and tighter and tighter. Um, eventually getting to a point where it no longer is a worthy use of time to be able to, or a worthy use of funds. It's no longer, it just no longer in some areas, uh, there's not enough of a spread for investors to want to build there. So all of that taken together constricts the housing supply. Meanwhile, you have this huge um, onslaught of demand, and that demand comes from a variety of factors. The number one source of demand in the US is that millennials right now, the millennial generation is between the ages of 26 to 42. And before you say, hey, don't point the finger at millennials, first of all, I am a millennial. Second, uh, the reason that millennials get singled out, as opposed to Gen X or Gen Z, is because the millennial generation is substantially larger than both Gen X and Gen Z by a factor of about 8 million people. So there are approximately 8 million more members of the millennial generation than there are members of Gen X or members of Gen Z. And that's largely because the millennials are the children of the baby boomers, and the baby boomers were the largest generation ever in the history of the United States, and they produced an equally large set of offspring. They said they produced an equally large direct lineage. So that's why the children of the baby boomers are that the size of that generation is almost as large as the baby boomer generation. And so, because the millennial generation is now at the perfect age in which most people between 26 to 42, that's the age at which a lot of people become first time home buyers. And that causes increased demand in a couple of different ways. So, number one, you take a bunch of millennials, you take a bunch of 30-year-olds who are roommates, right? And so, as roommates, you've got three of them living in the same house, and now all three of them decide that they want to become first time home buyers. You now went from one unit of housing to three units of housing. So not only does it cause home buying in that more people are entering the home buying market, but it also, because you decrease the amount of density per household, it the breakup of roommates into non-roommate into individual or couple living situations causes decreased density inside of the household, causes a higher demand for housing. So now you've got that demand coming in two ways from the millennial generation. Now, somebody wrote to me recently and they asked, what about demand from investors? Well, the single largest piece of demand from investors comes from institutional investors, BlackRock, private equity firms, Wall Street, hedge funds. They are some of the largest buyers of rental properties, both single family and multifamily, actually. Um, that has slowed a bit. There was a lot of private equity money flowing into investment properties in like 2015, 2016, 2017. That has slowed a bit these days, but the number of major firms that are buying rental properties and therefore contributing to demand um, is it's substantial. The demand coming from mom and pop investors, individual investors like you and I, is statistically speaking um, fairly negligible. It's less than 10%. The same is true with the Airbnb craze. So right now we're kind of going through a pullback in vacation rentals. There's a bit more supply in the vacation rental market than there is demand. And so a lot of what were formerly Airbnbs are now getting turned into rental properties. And so people are a few people have asked, hey, does that have any significant impact on demand? No. The short answer is, although that might seem anecdotally like a major thing, and it's easy, especially on the internet, if you're subscribed to Twitter feeds and TikTok channels of people who are in that world, it can be easy anecdotally to kind of think it's bigger than it is. But if you follow the money, most of the money comes from um, major institutional investors, again, big hedge funds, big private equity, big Wall Street investors. Most of the most of the demand for housing is coming from major institutional investors and or coming from owner occupant primary residence homeowners, particularly inside of the millennial generation. So those are the factors impacting both demand and supply. And given that there's no real abatement of either of those, at least nothing on the imminent horizon, the supply demand imbalance you know, has every sign of staying as it is, which means home prices are likely to continue to rise. According to Fortune magazine, Zillow has predicted that home prices will rise by 6.5% nationally. Home prices will rise by an additional 6.5% above where they are now by summer of 2024. So, even in this higher interest rate environment, we are continuing to see some pretty rapid home price increases, and that is because of the supply demand imbalance, which is fueled by all of the factors that I've just listed. So, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I will hang out for like another minute or two in case there's any questions. Beyond that, I will sign off for the moment, but I'll be back live chatting again. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'll be live chatting quite a bit. Our course, Your First Rental Property, is open for enrollment. We opened today. So we're really happy to be opening our doors and be welcoming a new cohort of students. If you want to learn more about it, go to affordanything.com /enroll. That is affordanything.com/enroll. I should have like a banner up for this, shouldn't I? Oh, here we go. Let's try this. Affordanything.com. Can you tell it's my first live stream /enroll? Look at that. Wait. No. Ha! Now look at that. Hey, there we go. So thank you so much for tuning in. Check that out if you want to learn more about our course. We are open for enrollment only for the next 10 days. After 10 days from now, we're going to close our doors. so that we can focus on actually being with our students rather than encouraging new students to come in. So 10 days from now, we close our doors, and then this cohort is going to go through this 10-week long program together. It's 10 weeks, 8 modules. We cover everything from how to analyze properties, how to find properties, how to finance properties, how to make renovation related decisions, how to manage properties. So we walk you through the A to Z of how to select and purchase a rental property. And it's a very high touch, white glove experience. We have study halls, we have active investor mastermind calls, we have office hours with me where you can bring your questions. We have teachers assistants who are all alumni from the course who are there to help guide you and answer questions and be in the forums. So it's a it's a group experience where for 10 weeks you go through this together and have the accountability and the camaraderie of having a group of people with whom you are learning how to invest in rental properties. So check out that link if you want to learn more. I hope to see you in class, and thank you so much for coming to my very first working live stream. Thank you again. Thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll be back again later tonight, most likely. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much. Oh wait, let me check comments. Yes, thank you so much. Take care.